It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. God, it's Feedback Friday. Antihistamines are working, nasal spray is working, yay. So this Feedback Friday, I'm going to talk about two things. Stuff for Manly Monday, and what safety, like refining the idea of safety for men, though. I'm going to continue that, the emotional safety idea. I'm going to make a note or I'm going to forget that. Story of my life. I am not good at multitasking and I have to do it. But I want to first, one commenter on the Elden Ring video from Wednesday was like, where are you getting all this? The lore's not in the game. And I'm sure if one person's thinking that, other people are. Here's how you find the lore in Elden Ring games. I'll do the help support this channel first. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Coffee.com/LeannaK. Sometimes people just need to talk about video games. That's half a joke. But yeah, keep that Leanna Care support coming. It's really, really helpful for people. Okay, so the bulk of the lore in Elden Ring is in item descriptions, especially the remembrances and the runes that you pick up from bosses, but also gear. So the recently added tab, I wish that had been there when I played the game the first time, because it makes it so much easier to go through and read the descriptions. I missed all the stuff about the dragons being precursor until all the Bale stuff, and now all of a sudden it's like new layer and I'm on the wiki reading about stuff. But that you read the item descriptions, and then the Elden Ring wikis are very, very good sources of the combined lore that people have found from the games. Because in different playthroughs, even now I've been like, did I get that before? It's so easy to bork quests because it definitely is a game that's designed to be played through multiple times, and platinuming it, and I really give them credit for this. I'm trying not to be that asshole. It's like, it was easy, because it's not an easy game, but platinuming the game does not require you to do terribly much. There's a bunch of endings you don't need to get with the mending runes to platinum the game. And so the lore and the story are for diehards like me, but I find it very interesting. The layers in the game, and some of it is conjecture. I don't necessarily agree with some of the some of them I do, but some of the fan extrapolations are not my interpretation of what's going on. There's some, I still can't figure out birth order for for the various America kids. It's like the fucked up Brady Bunch with a side of fucked up. But yeah, that's how you get the lore in Elden Ring. It's talk to everybody, explore everywhere, but also read those item descriptions. They are the biggest source of WTF is going on. And then there's sort of fan theories that have sort of become accepted, but the wiki's quite good at sourcing where each little detail comes from. So if you're concerned about that, I just found out about the Mikola is Griffith thing. So that's pretty funny. Okay, moving on from that to the um, state of safety or state of protection for men. Um, One commenter summarized it, and based on some of the conversation, this is a commonly enough held idea that I'm going to run with it. Said the subject of male safety for me is less about physical safety and more about maintaining a healthy state of emotional well-being, where I almost always anticipate the idea that I'd be met with a deluge of get over it, stop whining, no one cares, the world doesn't revolve around you, or your problems are your own fault. Basically, again, the response of your problems don't matter because there are others who have it worse than you, which again puts me in this bind where if I do decide to open up more with my struggles anywhere else, I'd probably be accused of, excuse me, trauma dumping, attention seeking, oversharing, fishing for compliments, being emotionally manipulative, basically lumped in with the weaponized vulnerability crowd, which brings me to, again, my problem with societal double standards, which if you are someone who does fit that innocent, small bean, baby-faced ideal victim mode, you're given that benefit of the doubt. It's just one of those things about the world that makes me want to just give up and just fall into the darkness. And a non-commenter said, I'm deep into the darkness. And this is, again, I sound like a broken record with this, but the unfortunate thing about men and women not having conversations with each other as much as I think would be helpful, in a way that's actually productive is, I mean, I'm looking at that and like, yeah, I heard get over it, stop whining, no one cares, the world doesn't revolve around you, your problems are your own fault, your problems don't matter because others have it worse than you. I've been accused of weaponizing vulnerability. Now I am definitely not. I made a conscious choice to not be a victim. I have to be very careful with my language, and part of it is because I know I have people watching to isolate one thing I've said, strip it from context, and say, she said this, and it's not true, and she's a lying narcissist. And people will say shit. A lot of people will say shit about you that's not true. Somebody on Twitch this week asked me about the Boogie drama, and I said, I don't know what to think. I've seen what people say, but I still feel like I'm missing a piece of the whole thing. I see what the internet doesn't say anything, but people on the internet who don't put their name on their accusations. And so, all I can say is don't know who this is, no verifiable or unverifiable details, don't know what you're talking about, sorry, that proves she's guilty. And it's like, what? I see how the internet chains things and makes these massive leaps in assumptions. And it happens to everybody. I know a lot of really good people who have this reputation for being terrible because the internet got hold of something and skipped steps and made assumptions, and then that became the narrative. And it happens, and it's not that there's nothing you can do, but you can do everything right and that still happens. And this is why you need a group of people that, and it won't be 100%. I was talking to a guy earlier this week, and a woman did some shittiness to him. And I basically said that. I said, yeah, it sounds like she used you, dude. Sorry. And he said, I'm so glad you said that because my friends told me it was my fault. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then I realized, okay. Said to him, your friends were probably trying to be helpful and useful and jump to fixing the problem instead of letting you express your feelings. And sometimes we can say, like, look, I don't need advice. I need to talk. I need some validation. I need some support here. And that can help, but you've still got the people who are fixers and they don't feel useful if they're not fixing the problem. And it can end up in exactly what I keep hearing from men of, what is it again? Just get over it, stop whining, right? The world doesn't revolve around you. Your problems are your own fault. And I can see how somebody is saying, this is what you did wrong, trying to be helpful so he gets a better result the next time, can come across as your problems are your own fault. And this is one of those things where nobody's trying to be a dick here, but steps are getting skipped. And unfortunately, men don't, and groups that are male dominated don't get the active stuff that women's groups certainly do, though I do think that there are deficits in the way women are socialized. And that's another commenter said that I think another point of disconnect is that even when a woman is given that ideal circumstance of being protected, the ideal can also feel patronizing and unnecessary. I've had the experience of people trying to spare me, not even dangerous tasks, but just uncomfortable or unpleasant ones on the basis of my gender, and nothing gets my hackles up and makes me want to muck in and get my hands dirty more than that. It's extra bad when it's an important piece of information, and if you had found out about it earlier, you could have done something about it. But by the time you found out, there was nothing you could do. And people are like, well, we didn't want to upset you. And then they're like, you see, you're upset. It's like, I'm upset because if I had known about this 2 months ago, I could have done something about it. Now it's too late. The cake is baked. And yeah, I'm pissed. But you're not allowed to be pissed. Like, oh, don't be mad. I don't understand why you're so angry. That's the one that drives me crazy. That is a girl world thing that just, I don't understand why you have such anger towards me. It's like, well, would you like to know? Of course, they never want to know. That's code for you're not allowed to be angry at me. And that's the downside of the, as the commenter said, that patronizing protection. It's not really protection. It's stunting. And so we've got this problem of, remember I said it's different skills gaps. Men are not given the opportunity to actively learn and practice that idea that sometimes just sitting and listening to someone is the most helpful thing you can do. And just asking if they want advice is useful. Sometimes they'll go, yeah. Other times they just want, that ability for somebody to go, wow, that sounds really frustrating, and have them be able to go, it was frustrating. Sometimes just being able to get the validation of talking about it and have somebody say, that was really unfair is exactly what they need and exactly what helps them get through it. But women have this, if someone's angry, that's bad. They're not allowed to be angry at me because I didn't do anything wrong. I had the best of intentions. You're bad for being angry at me. And when people get that shit from their mothers, oh my God, especially boys who get that shit from their moms because that's what coddling does. You have to be prepared. I mean, I have people angry at me all the time. Do I deserve it? Sometimes. But even if I don't deserve it, it's like they're allowed to be angry. I don't have to agree with the reasons to be angry. And being angry doesn't mean you name call. It doesn't mean you attack on things that aren't um aren't relevant. And that's true for everybody. And what I do, the way I've navigated this, is same rules for everybody. Doesn't matter who it is. And one of the things I realized is that, I mean, a big problem with the whole gaming thing, I truly believe that a lot of male journalists used the women in gaming thing to complain about the harassment of women. Meanwhile, I know some of these guys were ready to quit themselves because they couldn't handle the abuse they were taking online. And I'd say to them, you know, it would help more if you guys just spoke for yourselves. Don't speak for women. Say, I don't like this either. It hurts when you say this stuff. It's not fair, and here's why. And they never did it because their pride wouldn't let them. They'd rather, and that's when I'm like, okay, so you want me to be the victim so you can talk about what you want to talk about, so you get the promotion, and then I'm not sent into things because, oh, we don't want you to get harassed. I hate that shit because I know, just because I've been doing it so long, right, that I had more cope than any of these guys, but they were so in denial about how much it bothered them that they just deflected and projected everything onto harassment of women. Pissed me off. There's a reason that you don't see very many women rising through the ranks in, I mean, game journalism's up the creek right now, but even in game dev, you don't see as many because it's all protect, not listen and treat as valid, right? Now, that's the other part. That's my other rule of sort of same rules for everybody, but there's two schools of thought. I don't like it, so everybody else, but I had to put up with it, so does everybody else. And I don't like it, so I'm not going to do it to other people. And that is a huge rule for me, that I don't like it, so I'm not going to do it to other people. Because you lose your logical right to complain if you're also doing it. You know, if we should all turn down the temperature. You first, because I have the right to lash out. No, you know, we all do it sometimes. And it's sort of, something can be not ideal and still very human. And I don't see the point of chastising somebody for an incredibly human response. If they're in the mood to hear it, I'll give them some pointers for how to do it differently to maybe get a better result the next time. But, you know, it fucking happens. And people are allowed to have feelings. People are allowed to have feelings. I'm allowed to set boundaries, but I'm never going to tell somebody they can't feel anything they want. But that's my third rule about this stuff, so that everybody feels kind of safe and protected, and respected. Respect is a big thing. It's that any accusation requires some sort of backup. You may not have like chat log or recording proof, but some sort of substantiation. You know, it's I've been talking in other places. I think I talked about two women talking this week about The Acolyte and bad writing. It's bad writing with no examples of what's bad. And when you get into, okay, what was bad writing? Well, in this previous Star Wars thing, a Wookiee on the Jedi Council said they hadn't seen the Sith in 1,000 years. But the whole point of the Acolyte is that the Jedi's fucking lie. So that's not a contradiction. And this is the thing. When you submit your reasons, you think something's bad writing, for instance, or you think someone is wrong, or, disagree, bad take. That shuts down a conversation. It doesn't start it. No one deserves just a branding, right, of asshole, bad take. Yes, we live in an age where people are getting liar tattooed on their face. Before we actually unpack what was knowingly a lie. Fuck, right? There's a certain intellectual rigor that has to hold here. You go bad take, you better tell me why, or I'm not going to listen to you. Disagree entirely. That's nice. Why should I care? Right? It's bad writing. Why? Give me something, because before somebody actually substantiates their viewpoint, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and some of them are full of shit. So if nobody gives me anything, I'm at the point where I'm just like, fuck it. If somebody's not willing to risk being wrong, they don't get to tell me I'm wrong. And this is a big, the moral of the story is moment of you're never gonna feel in a certain amount of control of your life. You're not gonna feel safe unless you put those things up in your head of, these are my rules and they apply to everyone, including me. And if people are not willing to play by those rules, they don't get access. Period. And when you're starting out, it's a lot harder because you want that first job. You need, you got student loans you got to pay, that whole thing. You're desperate. And so you settle and you compromise and you end up in a really bad place. But if you're sort of in a position where, I know people who have a ton of money and they still can't do it. But that skill of being able to go, this person does not share my values. I choose to not be around them. I don't like the way this person treats me. I've told them, they haven't stopped. I choose not to be around them. If you want to feel safer, if you want to feel like you matter more, if you want to feel like you actually can express your feelings and not be, gaslighted or invalidated, that's the first step. Just, you gave them a chance. You told them what's wrong. They didn't listen. Fuck them. They're gone. Bye. There's no shortcut. It does work though. You just, you got to get those rules down and be prepared to be called on it too. Like, if somebody points out a really valid reason where I came up short, I'll immediately, yep, you're right. I'm sorry. I see your point. Yep. But you got to give me the reason, because I get so many people telling me I'm shit. If I listen to all of them, or if I even listen to a quarter of them, I'd be a wreck. But I don't want to just tune out all feedback. That's not healthy. So I was like, okay, what standards can I set for me to listen? And having backup to the opinion is a big one, because I know I'm like, if I don't have a reason for something, then I just don't like it. It's not that it's bad. I don't like it. And I'm allowed to say I don't like it for no reason, because I just don't. It's just subjective. It's just a point of fact. For me to say something's bad, or for me to say something's got problems, I need to be able to define what the problems are. And if you apply that rule to everybody, you feel a lot more supported. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Very, very important for that stuff. Coffee.com/LeannaK. Now is a good time to donate to both because Discord invites are going out next week. Yeah, next week. To join our Discord server where we vote about like what games I'm going to play on Twitch and what the content of the videos are going to be. It's a great group. If you are looking for exactly the kind of support that we talked about in this video, thanks for watching and have a great weekend.